Learning Russian cases can be one of the most challenging aspects of learning Russian as a foreign language. But with the right approach and strategy, you can significantly improve your knowledge of the Russian cases and ease this process. My name is Lina, I'm a Russian teacher, and I'm here to give you 7 effective tips on how to master and learn the Russian cases. And the first tip that I can give you is understand the basics of each case and learn them in the specific order. In Russian, we have 6 cases. And the first one, nominative case, is the basic form of each word. Like this, you have to learn only 5 other cases, because when you learn the language, anyway, you learn the basic form of the word. So you already know it. And each case has specific meanings, when we use it, how we use it, and the endings, how we change each word when we need to put it in the specific case. The most common question that I always hear when people start learning the Russian cases is that if it's possible not to learn the Russian cases and speak without knowledge of this grammar topic. Unfortunately, my answer is always no. Russian cases, that's the most important Russian topic, because without knowing the cases, you won't be able to create complex sentences. Obviously, if you want to speak by using only a few words in your phrases, in your daily conversations, then it's fine. But if you try to create something more complex that consists of more words, then it's impossible. For example, I'm giving you a sentence where all the words I'm gonna use in the basic form, without any prepositions, without any changes, and you try to understand what I just said. Друг мой брат, ехать Москва-Лондон, неделя. What does it mean? It can mean many different things, even though this sentence is not really complex. Yes, it has more than 2 words and more than 3 words, but still it's not too complex, it's not too long. But still, it's impossible to understand what I just said. Is it like friend of my brother, or is it friend with my brother? They're going from Moscow to London, or they're going from London to Moscow? They're going for a week, or they are going in a week? It's not clear. You cannot understand anything from this sentence. And now look at the same sentence, but where I will use all the words in the correct case with the correct prepositions. Друг моего брата едет в Москву из Лондона через неделю. You get this sentence. And I can change everything completely, but keep the same words here. Друг с моим братом едет из Москвы в Лондон на неделю. 2 completely different sentences, even though I used the same words. But I changed the cases and I added prepositions. As you can see, it's important to know the cases. Okay, now you know that cases are important, but you cannot just take randomly any case and start with it. For example, you start learning Russian and you see, okay, genitive case is the second case, I want to start with that. You start with that and you are horrified, because the genitive case is the most complicated case of the Russian language for foreigners. Even for Russians, actually, it also can be complicated. So if you start with it, you'll be devastated, you'll be depressed, you won't have any more desire and any more motivation to continue learning the Russian language, because you think that it's impossible. It's impossible to learn these cases and to understand them. That's why you have to study the cases in the specific order, in the order that is made for foreigners, for people who are learning the Russian language. And in both of my courses on Udemy for A1 and A2 levels, I give the exact same order of learning the Russian cases, how I usually teach them to my students on individual lessons. If you don't want to study my courses, you can just look at the order of these cases and study them on your own. So you can see here how I present and how I teach these cases. Start with prepositional, then accusative, then dative, then genitive, and the last one will be the instrumental case. If you don't want to complicate anything, if you don't want to look for the necessary materials on your own, you can just study both of my courses, and there I teach everything that you need to know about the cases at this level, at A1 and A2 levels. The meanings of each case, the endings of each case, and the practice. A lot of exercises where you can practice everything that you learned from my lessons there. And then at the end, you will get the whole table with all the meanings, with all the endings, all together in one place. The second tip is practice with concrete examples that are close to you. Learning through context can be more helpful and more effective than learning any abstract rules. Like this, you can use my presentations that I have on my courses. You see my examples for each meaning, for each case, and sometimes you think that, no, I don't like this example, it's not close to me, I won't use it, I will never use this sentence in my whole life. So you can create your own examples that are close to you. You can write them down and don't forget to revisit, to refresh in your memory these examples time to time, because that's the only way to remember something. Unfortunately, we are all humans and we tend to forget very quickly all the new information that we are learning. The next tip is use exercises. I know that a lot of people won't like it because it's about boring part of learning a language, doing exercises. A lot of exercises you have to do to be able to memorize the endings, the meanings of the case. Obviously, it's not funny at all. But that's life, and that's the learning process when you study such a hard language as the Russian language. Be patient, do these exercises, and like this you'll be able to memorize the endings, the meanings of the cases easier, and you'll feel more confident when you speak, because when you know that you already made a lot of different exercises for each case, for each meaning, obviously it'll give you more confidence when you try to speak. And like this you'll be able to make less mistakes simply because you'll be more confident. The tip number 4 is listen to natives. It can help you a lot. Even if at first it seems useless, you don't understand anything that people are saying when you listen to Russian songs, when you watch Russian movies or some videos on YouTube, it won't seem too helpful because you won't understand most of the stuff. But your brain is actually smart and it will get the necessary things, the necessary forms from what you're listening to. And when you try to say something, even without knowing it and even without learning it before, you'll be able to get the correct form simply because you've heard it somewhere before. And if you don't know where to find Russian songs or where to find Russian movies, Russian videos with subtitles, with exercises, I provide both. If you join my Patreon page, I provide there exercises for Russian songs and Russian short videos, like different conversations from different movies or advertisements, anything in Russian, but with Russian subtitles and exercises for each song and each video. It will help you to analyze more how native speaks, how they use the cases, and why they use these cases there. Simply because you'll have all the transcripts and you'll be able to analyze not only by listening, but also by reading, which is the next tip that I'm gonna give you. Read extensively. Reading as well as listening can help you a lot. You can read Russian literature, Russian text, or different short articles on internet, and it will really help you to improve and to understand more how Russian natives use the cases. Number 6 is simple. Study with a tutor. If possible, study with a Russian teacher. It can save you a lot of time because you won't need to waste any of your own time to search for necessary materials, for necessary textbooks, or to try to understand where to start, how to start it, because not everyone has this kind of motivation and this kind of ability to learn something on their own. That's why it's gonna be great if you ask for help of a professional who will provide you with all the necessary materials and a study plan specifically made for you. I also provide individual lessons, and all the information, the prices, the rules for my individual lessons you can find on my website linaslessons.com. And the last tip is consistent practice and consistent review. I already said something about that because consistent revisit of all the materials that you learned before can be really effective. There is a perfect app for it, Anki, that you can use. You can search on the internet how it works. It's super helpful. You can create your own flashcards there for endings, for meanings, for your own examples. And like this, you'll be able to learn better because Anki has a perfect way of studying a foreign language, any foreign language, not just Russian, spaced repetition algorithm. Only by using this spaced repetition, you'll be able to put some information in your long-term memory. Because when we learn a new word, as I said before, we are forgetting it very quickly. And that's why we have to refresh it all the time in our head. Only like this, we'll memorize it forever. And that's it. Obviously, mastering Russian cases is not easy at all. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of motivation. But if you really want it, you'll be able to do that. Stay persistent and don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's the only way of learning a new language, and it's the only way to master your language when you make mistakes. So use my tips, watch my videos, stay with me, and learn Russian with me. Thank you very much for watching.